What's an urge you get but will never act upon? Every time I stand over the bins of apples in a grocery store, I wonder how many people I could hit with a decent throwing arm before somebody stopped me. Every time I look over the railing, I imagine what it would be like to jump off. Not suicidal. Mine isn't myself going over. But for some reason, if my keys are in my hand, I have to fight not to throw them over. Makes no sense. I get the same way with my keys near storm drains. As soon as I pass by one with my keys out, I instantly think, I could throw those down there. To just vanish. To just withdraw all my money, get in my car and drive until I don't feel like driving anymore. It would like hitting reset on my life. Everywhere you go, there you are. I too had this urge for a long time until I sat down and thought about just why I felt this way. Also known as the geographic cure. It works for a little while, then you realize all your old shitty tendencies and problems came along for the ride as well. I remember seeing a post. It was about a man who suffered with depression. He was told by many to travel. To summarize his post: "Great, now I have depression in Egypt." Anyone else get the weird urge to kiss whoever you're talking to, regardless of their gender or attractiveness, almost like a "I could kiss you, what would occur as a result of that, I wonder" urge? It's really off-putting at times. I hope it's not just me. I get this too. Sometimes I get the urge to hit people too. Not because I want to cause them pain or hit them. I think my brain is just like, yeah, but like, what if? Quit school and just live at my parents' house until my money runs out, and just die from starvation or something. Whenever I am working and someone is physically close to me, a little voice pops in my head saying, they are so close, you could just kiss them. But then my brain comes back to reality and I'd realize I have no desire to kiss my bio partner, teacher, etc. But they are so close that I could. I blame the Assassin's Creed series for making me see climbable buildings and gapable ledges and making me wonder if I could clear it or climb it. Spoilers, I cannot. If you're a reasonable weight and go to the gym once or twice a week, you probably could. Once. But if you stay fat, you could jump off the building and assassinate someone. Once. To move far away from where I currently live, never telling a soul where I'm going, and starting completely fresh in life. I did it. Got lonely. Didn't fit in well on a place where I didn't grow up. Ended up lonely as ever, and when I moved back I was so much happier. Maybe what you need is a break. It wasn't like that for me, but it ended up like that for me. It helped a lot. Scream at work. If you work in a restaurant, go into the walk-in cooler and scream. It helps. My coworker has the most endearing and beautiful smile I have ever seen. I want him to know that, but I'm certainly not going to be the one to tell him. Edit, sorry, I forgot context. I have a massive crush on him. I don't know how to tell him the smile thing without making it more obvious than it probably already is. One day I was in an internal meeting and one woman who I barely knew, a totally normal person, looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You have really beautiful eyes," and just moved on to the next thing in the meeting. I'm not exactly Ryan Reynolds to say the least, so this wasn't an attraction thing for her. I will never forget that totally innocent and beautiful compliment. In summary, tell him. When I'm driving, I often get the urge to just swerve into oncoming traffic. Haven't a clue why. This is actually a very well-known psychological phenomenon, called the call of the void, or l'appel du vide, as it was originally named in French. A lot of people experience the idea that they could do something that would undoubtedly kill themselves or someone else, even if they have no suicidal thoughts or tendencies. It's so common that it's been studied extensively. Weirdly, it's hypothesized by some scientists to be the brain's weird, paradoxical way to appreciate life. We could end it all, destroy our lives. It's so easy to die, so therefore we ought to appreciate the fact that we are in fact alive. Wanna know what happens? Cause, I've been in a head-on collision. Edit, per request, car accident trigger warning. This is your last chance if you have PTSD about a car accident to stop. First, everything is blank for a split second. Then time slows down. Suddenly, everything matters. You take in a huge amount of information. Your body pumps out endorphins to suppress pain. Adrenaline kicks in. The car keeps going, and you try and remember how to stop a car. Eventually, you remember brake stop cars. But now you have to figure out how the fuck to use the brakes. You remember, and slam on them. Your spinning car comes to a stop. That felt like 2 minutes. It was probably 5 seconds or less. You get out of the vehicle, and are profoundly grateful you wore a seatbelt. You call 911. Now your insurance rates are high. For 7 years. Edit 2, just so everyone knows, I'm fine. I wasn't seriously injured, and this happened over 10 years ago. So if you're worried, I hope this helps. Thanks for the well wishes, though. Picking up one of those 4 packs of muffins in the grocery store, opening it up, and just punching the fuck out of them. Really give them the business. Crumbs scattering everywhere while I laugh like a lunatic pulverizing those fuckers. Sometimes I giggle walking through the bakery thinking about it. When hugging small children animals, I always can't help but wonder if I'm strong enough to just crush them to death. I'm not gonna test it out. Teacher here. Sometimes, whenever I have students act out of line, I get the urge to seduce their mothers and randomly show up at Saturday breakfast. What a power play that would be. I actually have a friend of a friend who kind of did this. I say, kind of, because he's a guidance counselor, not a teacher. Mr. Counselor was recently separated and going through a divorce. He had a daughter who was a student at that high school and was picked on a lot because a few people figured out who her dad was, and kids are assholes. Unfortunately, it turned violent at some point, and one of her bullies, who we'll call Ashley, ended up bashing her head into a locker during their fight. Black eye bruises, but she was mostly okay, thankfully. Mr. Counselor calls in Ashley's parents about her behavior, and she's a single mom who he said looked a lot like Zoe Deschanel. His exact quote when he told this story was, "You could fucking smell the sexual frustration on her." He sends Ashley back to class after they decide in school suspension starts the next day. When she's gone, Mom breaks down in tears because she has no idea what to do with her kid acting out so much. They talk for a bit, and Mr. Counselor asks her on a date. She was gorgeous. Her daughter was a bitch. I'm going for it. Ashley stays at a friend's place soon after. They end up hooking up and he crashes at her place. They wake up the next morning and have sex again. He walks out of the room and Ashley's coming around the corner saying, "You go to a MOT," before stalling when she turns to see who he is. He stops and they lock eyes for a moment. He starts laughing, grabs his stuff and makes his exit. I was actually laughing out of awkwardness, but I hope she though I was the most evil motherfucker on the planet for what she was doing to my girl. Mr. Counselor said when he and his daughter left school that Monday, Ashley had apologized to her and started crying saying, "How could you do that to me?" He's never told her what happened, but he says she's never really been picked on again, and her grades now are much better. When something is so cute you want to squeeze the devil out of it. Edit. For me it feels like some sort of overwhelming emotion that is so immense for you to handle and contain, so you are at a point where you don't know what to do with it, and to release this kind of stress. Kinda like a stress ball, you displace it to squeezing the thing that's causing it. That's an actual thing called cute aggression. Basically something is so cute we don't know what to do with it so we want to kill it, lol. It's fucked up but it is what it is. I love that that's an actual human impulse. I don't know what to do. Kill it. I can't handle seeing this level of cuteness. It must die. I really want to take a bite out of the deli meats at the store, but I think an entire one would cost way too much. After class today I was talking to classmates in the hallway and I had a sudden urge to bite down as hard as I could on the concrete pillar on the wall. I couldn't get the thought out of my mind until after I left. If someone is walking very slowly in front of me I want to kick their foot and trip them so bad. When people stand by ledges or at the top of stairs and I feel like pushing them down, it's so tempting. You know those really annoying kids in the mall, running around and their parents don't care? Forearm smash. Take 'em out. Boom. I'm a recovering opiate addict. I've been clean for almost a decade. The thing about addiction is it never really goes away. I still get the urge all the time, but I've learned to control it. Even if I get around certain friends that feel like they absolutely must get me to eat a Percocet or something, I'm easily able to say no. But the urge will always be there. Move to a new city somewhere in the world and start a new life. I did this, with surprisingly little planning and having never visited the city I chose. It worked out amazingly, and while I know it's not for everyone, If you have relatively little to lose and can bail out back home, I suggest trying it. To drop everything and live in the wilderness. Sometimes civilization is just too much. I get this too, except it's immediately followed by the realization that I am woefully unskilled at most things that have to do with wilderness survivalism. When I'm filling my car up, I sometimes get an urge to pour a ton of petrol on myself or someone else. I just want to see what would happen. I also dig the smell. It itches like a motherfucker and burns a bit. And if you're smoking, it burns a lot. Briefly. Standing up at work and loudly announcing, "I'm going for a shit," before walking out of the office. Murder. It's always murder. I've always jokingly told my friends that I have a small list of people, that if there was no way anyone found out, and there would be no consequences, I would kill, given the opportunity. It isn't really a joke. People that abuse animals, children, etc. People that are excessively rude to everyone for no reason. Especially those who only do things because they know they can get away with it. Taking my seatbelt off and hitting the e-brake while on the highway and letting Jesus take the wheel. Not a bear, but must resist urge to eat all the salmon behind seafood counter at grocery store. That's exactly what a bear would say. What's an urge you get but will never act upon? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.